regards to the questions that we received from our audience, I would like to discuss about that in Q&A, because they are permanently asking for some comparison, so it's much easier when we are all together to discuss about these questions, if you agree with me.
That's fine with me. I also saw one that wanted to compare Mauritius and Cyprus.
Yes, and Cyprus, exactly.
That might be a little difficult, but you know, we can take a shot at it.
Oh, do you want me? Do you want me? So, in short, you can say now here, like, because Tasos is muted, so maybe you can give an answer. He's back.
Well, one definite difference is that the Russians definitely know Cyprus more than Mauritius. We have 27 families living on Mauritius, Russian families, who have invested in property. We have business owners as well. But Cyprus has been a destination for many, maybe 20 years, for Russian investment and for Russian property investors. Mauritius is very small. It's not as developed as Cyprus from that point of view.
But it has the perspective.
Well, the feeling I tried to give was that the government is trying not to be a backwater. They want to be a financial center. They want to be a trade magnet with Africa. They want to attract people who want to invest, but also would like to live and live in Mauritius. Exactly.
Something happened.
Am I still here?
Yes, you're still here. Can I ask all of you guys to join?
Sure.
Valeria, unmute yourself.
Yes, of course I'm here.
Marcelo, also.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
You have me?
We have you.
Tell me that you miss me to push my equality.
We did. So first of all, thank you all for the presentation. Seriously, for me, even it was I didn't know half of those stuff. Even I have a small background in research in regards to the second citizenship, but I was more oriented to Malta and from time to time Cyprus. But it's interesting for me to hear about some other possibilities. So Tasos, I don't know if you want to maybe join in explaining the differences. Yes, we say differences in between Cyprus and Mauritius. So the comparison.
Well, essentially, dear friends, I believe that after our panel, we all give a good value to attendees to take back home. The essence of our meeting today and this workshop that extended to a long discussion that I was glad to follow, actually. We have had some very good insights, both from all esteemed co-panelists. I wouldn't like bring this to the essence of comparison directly. I mean, it's all about giving people the options to choose what the best for them is. And
exactly.
What I would like to spot on Cyprus is that Cyprus, it's as my esteemed friend has already shared, an established destination, not just for Russians, but yes, particularly for Russians, considering the fact that we have literally more than 40,000 people permanently living here. They occupy the tourism sector by being the second largest market for the island. But foremost, I'm almost married to a Russian woman for the last few years. Cyprus is a gateway to Europe. I mean, it's a destination where people can enjoy an excellent and safe lifestyle with safe and quite sound investments that can perform over the time. And this is proven on facts and not just what we sell or what is good for people to tell them to buy. But at the same time, they can expand or better reallocate their assets to any extent. Cyprus is a very good financial center and a resilient one, since it went through a lot of tests, stress tests over the years, and proved to be a system that people can trust despite the difficulties that the world went through in terms of the financials and the economies over the last decade. Still though, it's a place that is very welcoming, very hospitable, excellent lifestyle, diversity of lifestyle, high standard of living, very high standard of GDP per capita, and generally a place which is a living but at the same time working experience that can very warmly conglomerate both those elements, which they are very important for every family which looks for a base overseas or a relocation or a holiday destination.
Okay. There is Fred, processing time for Mauritius program. I don't know, maybe.
In terms of the residency permit, basically once you apply, once you decide you'd like to buy property and you're going to hit the threshold, you will submit some kind of application. Before it's actually processed, the government takes it and does KYC and AML on you as an individual to make sure that you're not a restricted individual somehow. That can take 2 weeks, normally not much more than that. And then from that point on, it moves along. If you're buying property that is ready to move into, then you can close on your deal very quickly. And from the time you close on your deal, the residency permit comes in about 1 month.
So I need to ask you, since I asked this question to Valeria, but she was ready and prepared to answer me. But there is seriously the most common question that I'm focusing when talking with other people is in which circumstances my application can be rejected. So Valeria already replied to me completely clear. May I hear from you guys, like how is that organized from your side?
From Mauritius?
Yes.
From Mauritius, they basically go through the international KYC rules. They look for sanctioned individuals. They look for known criminals. It's pretty straightforward. There's lists of people.
Okay, so you are organizing, let's say, pre-approval documents. So you have some questionnaire on which you go with your potential clients, and then you're going for application, correct?
We officially, that document is turned in when the deal is signed. And so officially that then goes to the government. But yes, we can do pre-approval because it doesn't make a lot of sense if you're not going to get an approval in any case.
Non-officially, this is not live, we do it.
We send it through the same processes, and that way we're sure that it will pass.
Of course. Okay. Marcelo, I interrupted you.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I interrupted you after your presentation. Sorry, we were a bit short with time, but there is, yes, you wanted to explain some additional programs except Golden Visa.
Yes. We say that the criteria to apply for the Golden Visa, basically this is the purchasing of an apartment above €500,000. There was another route. There was another route to get into this, is that you put €1,000,000 in a deposit in a Spanish bank. Okay. The thing is, you cannot make of these €1,000,000 kind of your business bank account. So some people think that, okay, I transfer the money there, and then they start moving the money. So what the government wants is that to attract some money. So you have to leave the money there of €1,000,000. Some people, they say, fine, I do that. I do that. So they have a lot of money, and they want to diversify their accountings. So maybe they have bank accounts in Miami, or in Toronto, or in Chennai, in India, or in Moscow. And they say, okay, I have enough money. I want to put €1,000,000 in a bank account in Spain. So that's fine. This is another route. But, normally what I have noticed is that people try to make something else. They say, okay, I buy a house. They can give you some revenue every year, and the house can increase in value. But, we have this. The other one, it was like you can buy debt from the state. How you call that in real English, Fred? Debt from the state, or maybe Tasos.
Inheritance?
Mortgage?
Mortgage?
No mortgage. I mean,
Bonds, the government.
You buy
Inheritance.
debt.
Yeah.
No. So you can go into one of these programs of the government to buy the debt of the government, but this is also very crazy. It's like €2 million, and this is very, very, very unseen. So basically, these are the two routes: the €500,000, or the putting the money in a deposit in the bank. Of course, there are different programs as well. If you say, something, I want to bring some wonderful business program or business idea to attract investments. But again, this takes time. This takes time, and you have to meet a criteria that is something very interesting for the economy of the country. Can be investment in technology, but it's not so easy. It's not so easy. If you buy the property, from the moment you buy the property until you get your residence, if we do everything okay, between 2 and 3 months, no more than this. By law, they have to give you an answer once we prepare all the files. Okay, once we prepare all the files, by law, the government has to give you an answer within 30 working days. Okay, they have to give you an answer. So, but we still take some time to make sure that your application is properly filled, that all the documents are properly translated, that they have the apostille, that the translation is by a certified and recognized translator. So we make a few things, but it should take something like 60 to 90 days to get your residence.
Okay. Here, Svetlana would like to know, is there any time limit within which, after the purchase of the property, it's possible to apply for golden visa?
This is for me?
It's for you.
Yeah. So sorry, I'm awful. I missed that. Please say that
So,
again.
is there any time limit within which, after the purchase of the property, it's possible to apply for golden visa?
Yes. Very important question. Very important question to keep that in mind. If you have this in mind, okay, to say, I want my resident visa, do it quickly. Okay, so normally, when we have someone that came to Spain to buy the property, we tell him to give us a power of attorney, and we start the procedure immediately. I think by law right now is 90 days. After 90 days, they can put some little problems there. But, don't come to my office and tell me, something, Marcelo, I bought a house 2 years ago that cost me 700,000 euros, and I want to make now the golden visa. No, it's going to be rejected. So you have no chance. the idea is that there is fresh money and there is a real investment all the time. So again, but some people say, I'm not interested in that. I just want to buy a nice property and I will come wherever I come. That's fine. But if you have in your mind that you want the golden visa for your family, once you buy, even if you don't buy the property with us, you have your real estate agent and you are happy with him, no problem. But we can also do all the
application for the program.
Yes for you, and that's it. Very easy.
Okay, so people don't wait. There is one question. I am not sure actually on which country, if they mean on some specific country, but maybe some of you want to answer. They say for Middle Eastern clients, would Turkish program be best for business visa in UK or for residence in Switzerland? Is there somebody that can answer on this question?
Don't go there. Look, in the UK, they want something like a 1.5 million pounds sterling for you to invest, which is a big ripoff. And then in Switzerland, you know, it's a super safe, but also super quiet, everything there. So come to Spain or come to Cyprus, you know, there's a real life, real good weather, you know, really good food, and we won't clean you, you know, we won't clean you.
You know, in each...
€6, you won't pay €6 for a beer, and you will not pay €10 for a pack of cigarettes, for sure not.
In each country that all of you presented, there is definitely a reason to go visit, stay, be, live, or whatever, especially now through this period of time. Okay, then there is accept, don't go there. There is a next question saying, are there any special requirements for investor from Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, and those countries? Like, I don't know, maybe they think on blacklist or some.
No. I saw these questions, and thank you very much for bringing this out. No, these countries, particularly Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, they are welcome. They are welcome. In fact, I know that my sense, you know, I mean, I must confess that I have not been there to this place, but I met some people from Kyrgyzstan and Uzbekistan in my trip to Moscow last February. I think these countries, they are going to make it. Sooner or later, they're going to make it. Like Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan, they are making it, and they are also looking for alternative places to live and another ways to invest it, you know. So but I have not heard that probably if you were telling me that you come from Sudan or from Yemen or from Afghanistan, I would say, you know, something, no chance, man. But these countries, they are more than welcome. And if you know investors from this place, by all means, talk to me. You know, I'm very happy to discuss with you some alternatives, you know. But I have read the whole law, the whole law that discuss the golden visa. There is no one mention that some countries cannot apply.
Valeria?
Yes.
Do you have anything to add up on this?
Well, pretty much nothing. I believe nothing to be added. Well said.
Are there any like blacklisted countries? So, okay, we know that there is a blacklisted individual, meaning if you have a criminal record, back off. But blacklisted countries or something where it's more like difficult to obtain?
I would say the following: there are some certain countries that are on the blacklist, but it yet has some exemptions as well. In case with Iran, we can see that they're generally not accepted, but there are some circumstances which can change this fact. So Iranian nationals who have resided, for example, of outside of Iran for more than 10 years' time, and they can prove that they don't have any links to their country and the actual source of funds that they want to use towards their contribution or purchase of the real estate as a part of their citizenship applications is not linked to Iran, they can still pretty much have high chances for approval, but it's yet to be decided once the initial KYC is being done on the prospective candidate. So yes, there are some certain blacklisted countries. The ones that you mentioned, they're not on the blacklist. I highly much work with countries from CIS and Russia, and it's a huge demand happening right now from those regions. But I would say it's due to it's a subject to a KYC, and some particular nationals can be restricted to apply, but there are some certain exemptions that we have to remember.
Perfect, thank you. Okay. And they are mentioning here partnership programs for collaboration. I'm not sure on what they think exactly, but it's again in regards to Uzbekistan and Tajikistan.
Yes. Look, as I said at the beginning of the presentation, it's very important a proper cooperation based in trust and in discretion. There is no way I get to know all the subtleness of the mentality of someone in Tajikistan or Kyrgyzstan. Even if I try to speak the best Kyrgyz possible, you know, I won't get there. So, but I mean, definitely, if there is there a lawyer or someone dealing with the wealth management in Tajikistan or Kyrgyzstan, and they want to say, Marcelo, I have this type of customers. They like to come to get the golden visa. We can sign a cooperation agreement, and we can come to a deal of commission based, and we can establish what kind of services we can provide, what kind of what do they need from the customers. But we very much work with this way with the South American countries, you know. So they send us customers with a profile, and we fix a fee, and it's okay. We want so much money, and this is what we need. And happy, you know. We are very interested in working this way and in honoring these ways of working. Why? Because at the end of the day, they send you more customers, and they bring you. This is the way people work, you know. People work. So by all means.
Okay. Fred, may I ask you about, so people are asking about transfer of inheritance from Russia to Europe, made provision and taxes. I noticed that you're good with numbers.
Inheritance from Russia
to Europe.
I really would prefer not to answer that.
Perhaps I could give you a share in that.
Yes, very good, Tasos, very good.
Yeah.
Essentially, in Cyprus, inheritance tax is down to 0. I mean, and this is not just for real estate, that goes for your bankable assets. When it comes to inheriting your assets to first-degree families, is down to 0.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that was in your presentation, I think. Well explained.
If there was a question about Mauritius inheritance, it is 0. But I don't know if the question really is moving inheritance from Russia to Europe, what would be involved?
Exactly. So what I can say that these are questions, especially when you say, you know, I have a heritage in Russia, or I want to move it to Spain or to Mauritius, to Cyprus, or I want to transfer this to a resident that is not a resident from Spain, but is a resident from another country. So guys, get good advice. This is they are lawyers and an accountant, very, very specialized in what you call that heritage and heritage transfer to see if this is your direct relative or it's not your direct relative. Because, you know, if you don't do that well, you can get a big stab in your back and end up paying a lot of money. But, you know, so for me, I think it's one of the most tricky field of tax accounting and laws, you know, heritage, you know, giving your heritage to others and transferring that. And so, but, you know, they are very good specialists. I'm sure in Cyprus, they are really interesting people. But in Spain, here in Malaga, we have guys that they are only doing this. They are only doing that, and they are really good. So, but everything can be answered. So there is a law for everything, you know, and everything can be answered, but it just takes to find the right people, you know, that's all.
It's clear, yes. What I wanted to ask also, Valeria, when purchasing a property, and investing $100,000, can you rent out immediately the property or no?
Well, the minimum investment towards the nation route starts with $100,000. At the same time, the property purchase starts with the amount of at least a minimum of $400,000. And to answer your question quite straightforwardly, like I would say that yes, you can rent out an apartment if you decide to go through the real estate route, but you can also, like, you should also bear in mind some consequences and some additional kind of things that you have to bear in mind with this purchase, that such things like management fees, utility bills, who will take care of the apartment if the hurricane will take place. So it's all something that the person has to decide and think forwardly, like before to make the final decision. And usually we recommend our clients to kind of find the right option based on their budget and the actual objectives and whether they're actually considering to relocate to the island, because it's a big decision to make.
Clear. But since you were explaining in your presentation that basically you don't need to visit the Caribbean island for obtaining, you don't need to stay there.
That's correct. But some of the clients, they're actually enjoying such beautiful locations. And because Caribbean countries are not yet that explored areas, and we're experiencing a high demand for these islands from the people who are actually kind of interested to explore new areas, new locations, because everyone have been in the hot spots of tourist destinations like Maldives, I don't know, maybe south of France. And there is definitely a niche market for people who want to obtain their second citizenship in the country, which they actually want to visit. But as I mentioned, it's not a requirement to be granted with the citizenship. It's yet to be decided on a single, like on the individual himself.
Clear. Tasos, this was also a question for Cyprus, because it's here well explained, saying, can the boat real estate be rented out mortgage during the lockdown of period of 5 years? You muted yourself.
What are you saying?
This is Tasos.
I guess that the question corresponds to the Cyprus investment program, which is related to the 5-year period where your investment portfolio should be kept and not be disposed. You can thereafter liquidate that and recapture your capital, your investment capital plus any gains.
After 5 years.
Yes. However, throughout the entire period of 5 years, and as I have explained during the presentation, although this is a passive investment program, you can still generate income and have a good IRR on your investment by renting out the properties or property respectively.
Clear. Then there is...
Yes, sorry for stepping on your toes, dear Zorica. In the case that someone chooses to invest into an alternative investment such as a fund or a share capital of our existing capital, which what we offer for our Eagle Pine integrated investment scheme designed by KPMG and administered by KPMG. It's a cumulative annual dividend return which in that case, throughout the investment period, which is required to be kept for the scope of the Cyprus investment program, which in that case is sort of tax-free dividends on share capital in Cyprus, not imposed any tax.
Okay. I need to ask Valeria again, sorry. Can people from Kuwait having no citizenship in past, called as baboons, can apply for Caribbean program, and what are the consequences they might face as they don't have bio documents?
What kind of documents the person doesn't have? Could you please clarify that for me?
So,
biometrics.
Biometrics.
Biometrics, I think Zorica meant biometrics documents.
Well, consequences they might face as they don't have bio documents, so possibility on biometrics documents. Possible.
Well, I don't see a problem. Perhaps if we didn't understand the question clearly, I can state and mention the actual general list of documents, which is quite crucial and required as a part of the submission of the documents. So I would say that definitely a copy of the valid passport is required to be demonstrated, along with the clear police certificate and things like residency documents from some other countries, if it's applicable, of course. So these are the documents that we are looking for to demonstrate the eligibility and the actual identification of the person who is willing to apply for the citizenship.
Clear. Here, yes, we received an explanation saying no passport, no civil ID, no birth documents.
Well, that's quite a tough, challenging question to answer. I believe it will be the best idea to advise to that person to contact me directly so we can discuss it closely and look into the prospective solution, if it's available, to find a way to make this person able to apply for the citizenship. But I want to be quite straightforward. It's a challenging question. And therefore, I would definitely advise a personal confidential consultation to discuss this further.
Clear.
Zorica.
So, yes, tell me.
I forgot to say, now that we are talking a little bit about renting and about how to maximize your invest, you know. Again, there are certain people, as Valeria have said, that they are not interested in renting the house, or maybe it can be too much of a hassle, you know. In Costa del Sol specifically, we have a completely different situation in Marbella and Malaga, because there are so many properties owned by foreigners. And number two, there is so many visitors, so much tourism in Costa del Sol from all kind of nationality, that there is always demand for vacation apartments, non-residential apartments. So that means that there are many agencies, they are completely specialized in renting your apartment, in maintaining your apartment, cleaning, getting the money, transferring the money, and they do that very well. In fact, for some people, it's a source of income. It's a source of income, and it's very interesting. I also forgot to mention that buying a property is not the only thing you can do. If you say, you know, something, I like to buy a piece of land to build a supermarket, or I like to buy a building to rent it out as offices. All these things can also apply for the Golden Visa program, okay? And we have people that now, for example, in Sevilla, there is a building of 7,000 square meters, and they want to buy that and rent it out for offices, and they found somebody that they can compromise for 15 years contract. So what I like to say that there are many options. There are many options for those looking for investments, and it can be also hotels, it can be supermarkets, can be parking places. Of course, in agro-business, we are a super powerful country. We are exporting our fruits, vegetables to every single supermarket in Europe has fruits and vegetables from Spain. And you know that because you look like you eat very healthy, Zorica. I'm sure you have seen fruits from Spain and something.
I'm from Serbia. We have our own fruit.
You saw our strawberries. You saw our strawberries. You saw our apples. You saw our orange from Valencia. You saw all that in the Serbian supermarkets, of course.
Fred, I would like to ask you. So, since all of these presentations are seriously so good and so well prepared, I'm trying now to make a decision a bit easier. So let's ask a question. Is there a drop down of prices in real estate during this COVID situation? So how is the situation?
So far, the developers have not told us that there is a price decrease. They have had problems retaining the workforce, just like everywhere. And so they may have furloughed people to try to save on expenses. But so far, there has not been a price break. We are, though, seeing a little more enthusiasm for people to go. It's like pent-up demand where you think,
of course.
Yeah, you think about it casually until you can't do it, and then you think about it a lot.
Of course. Of course. Imagine in January sitting in Wuhan. Of course that you were thinking that you want to be in Mauritius or in Cyprus or anywhere else.
Exactly. Or in my case, out on the street in Moscow. So.
Yes. Okay. In January there was everything was fine, completely fine there. Correct. Yes. Actually, how much the television is providing, mainstream media is providing, I don't know how much I can believe in all of it, but I would say that you were free. Okay, so Valeria, I didn't ask you about the real estate. Is there any impact? So accept that people were frustrated on their governments and their countries, and they are thinking a lot to go out there and seek for another residency. Is there any additional impact that you noticed through this COVID situation, and now we say post-COVID?
Well, no reductions in the price that we have seen, or at least something that we have known. But I can tell you that definitely Caribbean countries managed to promptly respond to the lockdown, which was taking place pretty much from across the globe, as we have seen, like countries being closed, some of them restricted any transportation at all of its citizens. So as we can see in the example with St. Kitts and Nevis, it's one of the oldest Caribbean program, and even back in 2015, they have thought about it and they have managed to streamline the process of the digital submission of the application. So right now, all the Caribbean countries managed to adapt to it as well. And from now on, during these times, while all the clients are experiencing issues to obtain all necessary documents in terms of the notarization, they are accepting the applications. Of course, once we can see the ease of the lockdown and the notarization of the documents started to be available once again, as being pre-COVID times, the governments are expecting the same applicants to send and share the documents which are missing. But it's still good. We can see a good positive trend, and they managed to successfully stay on the top and go through all of these challenging and unprecedented times.
Did anybody notice actually that the government was a bit slow, that the government of the country where they are which they are representing was a bit slow? Because I noticed in Malta, let's say, that the government, they organized everything, but they were, or they are, a bit slower. Was that the case? Tasos, you told me about Cyprus, everything is magnificent.
Yeah.
Well, we will be naive to say that everything is perfect. We have all gone through and still experiencing some upgrades in an extreme situation. However, I mean, Cyprus can, with justifiable optimism, approach the post-COVID era, which is happening already, and under the scope that airports have reopened and they are gradually reopening safely to almost the entire world, and considering the fact that the economy has been sustained on very or better satisfactory performing levels without any real job losses and any increase in the non-performing loans of the banking sector, which is a very important challenge for all the economies to go through or to come across with in the near future. And under the situation which we can see the vivacity of the interest of investors, especially for the two immigration schemes, to be already to getting verbalized already into real appointments and meetings with our overseas teams officers, and even interest to fly here, then I will quite safely say that I do not expect any prices drop within the next 6 to 12 months. Well, as a great concern for the markets, we know that the real estate sector is the one to be affected as the last one in this chain of recession, if we can predict one coming. Therefore, for the moment, I do not believe, especially for Cyprus, that property prices will drop in any way.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Yeah. Yes.
We should not be so dramatic about the coronavirus. And I have told upfront people coming to say, hey, is there any big banana price there or something, such a big opportunity? Is no. Unless someone is really broken after this crisis, someone is really broken. But we are not going to see what we saw in 2008. That was a total drama. I don't know how it was in Cyprus or in Mauritius, but in Spain was a total drama of prices falling 40 and 50%. But we are not going to see that. What we have experienced is a standby. Everything has frozen for 3 months. And people know that they have to come to normal. And people know that the show must go on. And that's it. So we are not going to see these things. And I think we should tell people, look, buy now if you want to buy now. But if you're gonna be waiting until prices drop 15-20%, this is not going to happen unless we have another serious corona in the winter, and then things can be messed up big time. But I like to stay positive, and I think the corona, what we saw, is gonna stay behind. Maybe we're gonna see some cases in the winter, but I don't think we're gonna see this shutdown that we have experienced in the spring. Okay.
Ed, would you like to add up?
I was considering the first way I answered that. Yes, I haven't seen any price drops, but the only way that you really can tell is when you start talking and negotiating a price. If a developer is softer on their price, they're not going to probably list it. They're instead going to take your offer or not take your offer as you get into a discussion. So I really don't see listed price drops for, as Tasos said, maybe 6 months, a year, but
I have a feeling that the prices will go up, actually, because if we meet another lockdown, people will definitely run somewhere where they can feel free, even if they are locked down. So that is my opinion, definitely.
That's a rational approach, if I may comment on that. And we expect quite a vibrant rebound. However, we all need to stay pragmatic, and I will align my thoughts as a real estate developer, which has a very big volume of sales considering the size of the country every year. It's all a matter of negotiating, and liquidity for any company, any group, any organization, whether you are a big or a small company, at present is essential. On this perspective, if investors will be looking for quite good price, I mean, this is always a matter of how very simply Fred put it on the table, negotiating. And we are all negotiating now. That, however, doesn't mean that investments will be in risk, or should we expect, at least for this part of the world, any dramatic decrease in the real estate sector in general. And I don't refer to my group. This is my approach and perspective on the Cyprus real estate market, at least for the next 6 months.
Okay, I noticed that I skipped one comment. Might be useful for CS Global to explain the due diligence process involved. Probably it's coming from the same person that is asking about what if I'm rejected. And then Valeria, you replied, there's no possibility for that because we are preparing the due diligence. So if you want in some short.
Well, as I previously mentioned, I think I see that person is inquiring about it. So maybe it's worth repeating it once again for somebody who just joined us recently. So of course, all our prospective candidates are subject of an internal KYC. So what we are looking for, what is the prospective ideal candidate for us, is the person who represents a good character, who is older than 18 years old, who can clearly demonstrate the transparency in terms of accumulation of his wealth and the source of funds as well. They have to be traceable. It has to be very kind of explainable. Would it be, let's say, dividends, or perhaps the person have inherited some wealth from previous generations, or maybe he simply sold his house. This is the things we are looking into. As well, to mention on the top of what just being said, that criminal activities are also quite crucial here. So we are looking for the candidates who do not have any criminal cases in past. And this is the main, I believe, generally speaking, this is the main areas we are looking into to ensure and to check whether the prospective candidate for the citizenship can meet all necessary requirements and prospectively to be approved in the government.
Regarding the criminal record, I'd like to say that in Spain, after 5 years, the person can clear his criminal records. I know in many European countries, this is like that. Okay, so because we have insisted a lot on criminal records. So, but if someone maybe 10 years ago he made something bad, it doesn't mean that he cannot apply for the golden visa. What he has to make sure is that when he's requested a certificate of clean criminal records, is clean. So I saw a case as well that that's the reason it's always important to consult with a lawyer. In America, for example, they are very, very, very strict with it. But even if you run with the car or something like 100 miles, and that's it, you have a criminal record. Or maybe you want to apply for it. I mean, what is a criminal record? That you are a killer or you are a rapist? But in America, if you run with the car or you were drunk, that is a criminal record. In Spain, this is not a criminal record. So my lawyer told me something very interesting. So she found a way to say, okay, in America, this is a criminal record, but it's not a criminal record in Spain, and the application went through. That is very clever. So don't be so afraid. Don't be so afraid if you have criminal records. You first of all try to speak to a lawyer in your country, in China, in India, or in Russia, and make sure that if the law says in your country that after some time you can clear your criminal records, then do that. then do that. And also, if you found yourself that you have been given criminal record for something that is very, very stupid, contact us and say, hey, what is the case in Spain? I did this in my country, but I don't think it's anything serious. So maybe we can help you with this as well. Now I'm talking like a lawyer. I like that.
Marcelo.
Yeah.
Marcelo, and if you don't mind, I just want to add something from my point of view. I absolutely agree with you. And in terms of the police clearance certificate and the idea of criminal activities, it's quite vague in terms of the jurisdictions, because as you said, in US, it's a one story and it's absolutely different to some other countries. Especially, I can just mention the Russia. In the case of Russian individuals, we can see that richer they become and much more difficult it's like it becomes to find somebody with absolutely clean, perfect, good characteristic and background, because it can be just a question of a competitor company writing some bad article about you in press. So all of these little things matter, and that's why we highly advise our clients to be transparent with us. And before we start any work, I encourage them to mention if they have any driving offenses, maybe if it's a minor one or something bigger than that. And that's why, as I mentioned so many times during this webinar today, we do complimentary checks before we start any work, before we make any charges for our professional fees. This is to ensure that we don't spend and waste client's time, and that he doesn't have any, like, let's say not doesn't have, but we minimize any prospective risks of the rejection at the very early stage.
Thank you. Thank you, Valeria. Actually, thank you all, I need to say. So Valeria, Tasos, Fred, Marcelo, it was my pleasure.
I wish we could all go for a nice wine from Spain, or maybe from a sweet wine from Cyprus, Tasos. Nice sweet wine from Tasos.
all of watching, you have an open invitation for me to Cyprus anytime.
Yes.
I'd love to come to Spain. I've been to Spain, and to all the pleasure that you, all our co-panelists, esteemed co-panelists, come from. I've been many times. I mean, this is a point of our panel. I think there's Zorica anyway, of giving options to people.
Definitely. I agree. And we seriously, with your presentation, gave them a task to start thinking, because there are options, and each option that you are presenting is seriously magnificent. And I cannot imagine better morning than waking up and seeing sea in front of me and palm trees and enjoying everything that you already presented. I hope that I was a good moderator today for you, that I have asked smart questions, and that you made your time speech the most useful way.
And you're also a very beautiful moderator, I must say.
Thank you very much. Is there anything that somebody would like to add up?
So stay in touch.
I think that we are shut it down from the program.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Nice meeting you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Serbia, very nice meeting you. Let's keep in touch, huh?
Yes, definitely. You can all find the connections on or on LinkedIn, or I don't know where did Bosco shared everything, but I have all the contacts from you guys. So if anything pumps out in regards to the countries you're representing, be sure that I will contact you.
Very good.
Wonderful.
Very nice to all of you guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, Bosco team.
Thank you, Bosco team.
Thank you, Bosco team. Goodbye.